Hi, welcome to the Gamesplainer. I'm Jeff the Gamesplainer, and today I'm gamesplaining Brass Birmingham. If you know the original Brass or you have played Brass Lancashire, you will have a really good understanding of Brass Birmingham. They are very similar games, yet there are some slight but major differences as we go through. So, I will explain this game as if I'm explaining a game that no one has seen before. If you know that other game, then just bear with me and notice or try to notice the differences as we go. Starting with, the winner is the player who gets this marker as high up that track as possible. If it gets to the 99 spot, it will continue around past the 100 points. This is your income, which you'll take at the end of each turn, showing 0 income at the moment. You can use it to take loans, which will push you downwards, which is why there's the negative incomes there. If that gets up to the 30 income, you cannot go past 30 income. So that kind of maxes out. The game scores in 2 rounds. So we run through this deck once, then we score everything that's on the board, then we shuffle up all the cards and we run through it again. Notice the face down card that is not being used. That will be used, so the entire deck will be used in the second half of the game. Because I've set up for only a 2-player game, you will find cards coming through up to approximately here and below. These cards and those cards there, so the different colours are for the 3 and 4 player games, which will open up those areas. You can go up into those areas, but there's not a real purpose in it. We start with 8 cards in our hand. On our first turn, we're able to do 1 action only, but on every turn after that, you'll use 2 actions. For each action, you will use a card. No matter if you actually need to use the card or not, you will use a card. So the hand kind of works like a timer at the same time, and your discard pile is there shown by the face down card, which is set at the beginning of the game. That basically removes a card from the game per player, and then on the second era, that card will come back into the deck properly and you use all the cards and start the era with the 2 turns as normal. So the actions we are able to do is we can build. To build, you will need to select one of the cards. The ones with these icons, you're supposed to build these only in places that you already have access to. So your first turn, you're probably only going to be able to build with these cards that have the names of cities on them. So you find one of those cities, for example, this one, which is Coalbrookdale. Coalbrookdale is just there. And you can build any of the 3 pictures or any 3 icons that are in Coalbrookdale. So I could build this one, I could build that one, or the beer barrels, I could build that one, which I believe is the coal mine. The first one I believe is the iron ore. So I would place that card down. That's my discard pile over there. I would be building in Coalbrookdale. I'll say, for example, I'm building that. Place that up into the space that has space for 2 blacks, 2 coal, should I say. Noticing there's a gap in the coal, so one of those would go up there, the other one would go onto the card. The only time you fill up this space is if you're actually building that particular type of development icon place. I would then spend 5 money. That 5 money would go on top of my card to show how much I've used during that turn. That determines the order of play on the second turn, and then I would take another card into my hand. So the cost of anything that I want to build is written on the left-hand side of what I'm trying to build. Some of them need some iron ore. Iron ore will come from either these types of buildings, if they're connected, or from the general iron ore. The cost is on the left-hand side there, so it'll cost an extra 2 to use the communal iron ore, as opposed to this iron ore. Now, this iron ore might be owned by that player. If I were to build something that needed iron ore, so for example some beer, if I were to build that there, that needs iron ore, I would use the iron ore from that one. That card would then get flipped over. The other player would gain that, which is spots on the outside track, which is income money, which happens at the end of every round. I would have built my beer barrel, which would cost 5 money and would gain 1 beer onto it for use for anyone. So anything that's on the board is available for anyone. Sometimes you'll be giving points to the other player. Sometimes you'll move their money icon forward, but everything is available. Now, what I've just done there is not actually legal. The reason it's not legal is because I have currently filled in 2 spots on the same city with the one color. So that one wouldn't actually be able to be built there in this game until the second half of the game. So once we've run through the deck once, we can then, in the second half of the game, we're allowed to build more than one in the same spot. If we wish to build something that needs coal, which is the little black icon there, we would need to be building either in the same location as the coal. So for example, when this one was built, it would have needed a coal, in which case it would have actually taken that coal to build it and flip that one over, and purple would then move forward, 2, 3 would move forward 4 spaces on his incomes. The next thing we can do is the network. This is really important because this is how we're actually going to be able to access between the cities. You'll notice the lines are grey and they're also the rail lines. So what we're looking at is the canals and rails. So we start in the canal era. So anywhere that has that grey line between it is allowed to get a canal. So here is allowed to get a canal, even though there's no rail on that one. In the second era, we'll be building where the places have rails, but not canals. So from here to here, here to here, we'd be able to get rails, but this would not be able to get used simply because that's in the older era. So to build that, it will cost 3 money to start with, and say it's purple's doing that. Maybe he wants to build here. That costs him 3 money onto his own player card, and now we're connected. What that enables us to do is there are tokens that go out and beer barrels that go out with those tokens that enable us to get to beer and gain some bonuses from doing that, depending on what type of building you're trying to build. The one that I've just joined up has all 3 types of building. This one only has the boxes, cotton mills. Anyone is now able to use it, or anyone who has connection to that is able to use that to do their buildings. And when you use that beer barrel, you'll get the bonuses next to it. This will get a bonus next to it, that bonus next to it. And each of those bonuses are slightly different. So this one, if you take that beer barrel, allows you to remove the lowest level of one of the things on your board. This one moves you up 2 on the outside track, so that's on your income stream. And this one gives you 4 points, actually moves your marker up 4 places. And the other 2, that gives you 5 money, that gives you 3 points if you're using those ones, which we're currently not. The next thing that we're able to do on our turn is develop. Developing looks like taking things off your board. It's saying, I am not going to put them onto the main board. The reason you would do that is because the benefit of having the stuff that's higher up in the line is a lot higher for you. So when you develop, you can remove 1 or 2 of the tiles, whatever you like. So I might lose that one and that one, for example, on my first develop. The only thing to watch out for, so you notice that little light bulb there, that means that one's not able to be developed. Noticing also, just while we're looking really closely, there's the picture of the beer barrel with a line through it. That means it's going to take a beer barrel to be able to actually get the money out of that and flip that card over. The next thing we can do is the sell action. So the sell action requires that you have something on the board that you're going to be able to sell. So for example, so I've built that, I've got a canal going through to a beer barrel, so I can now sell. What selling looks like is I will flip that over, noticing in the top right corner it has the beer barrel, so I need to use a beer barrel to do that. So I need to be connected to one, which I am. That one will come off. That then moves my token forward 5 spots, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And at the end of the era, I'll get 3 points for that. Things that you're going to be able to sell on your board is the boxes, the cotton, is the pottery. So you'll wait till you sell them before you flip them over. The beer barrels, as soon as that beer barrel has been taken off, because it's just been used, that's now also going to be flipped over, so it'll push the purple forward 4 more money. Now noticing that I use this beer barrel is in existence as well. I have to use the closest one to me. So if that one didn't exist, I would use that one. If neither of them existed, I wouldn't be able to actually do that action. I'd have to build lines through to other beer barrels or make them myself. or wait till someone else makes them and then use their beer barrel. These guys, notice they flipped over when they ran out of little icons on top of them, those things on top of them, same as the beer barrels. There's two other things I'm able to do. Number one is I can get a loan. So if I don't have enough money, I can discard one of my cards. So you're going to do this on everything that you've done. So I might discard that one. I can take 30,000. I don't have a choice of any other amount. It's just 30,000. But what I also do by taking that loan is I move 1, 2, 3. Notice I'm moving according to the money spots. I'm going to the highest money spot. I'm not moving according to how many things I've moved along. So by going there, I can take a loan of 30,000. And the other thing I'm able to do is scout. Scouting is basically taking two of these cards. These cards allow you to do your action in any space. So to get that, I'll need to take 3 cards out of my hand. So 1 for the action and 2 that are being replaced, and take 2 of these cards. You're only allowed to have 2 of them in your hand at any one time, and so therefore there's only 2 of each in the game for a 2-player game. For a 3-player game, there's 3 of each. For a 4-player game, there's 4 of each. And what that now allows me to do is choose any location, or to do anything in a location I've already got. That's the basic actions at the end of each turn. So you notice that this purple has spent a whole bunch of money, white has spent none. That would mean that white would go first next turn. That money then gets turned into the bank, except that white will get 2 of those money, purple will get 4 of those monies, and the rest goes back to the bank. Okay, look, I think that has enabled us to show you most of the stuff that goes into this game. Remembering there's just a little bit of what happens to connect things together. So you're only connected, if you build a city out here, you're not connected to this stuff until you've actually built these lines. You need to be connected to the coal in order to use that coal. Otherwise you also need to be connected for coal. You need to be connected to something that has that icon, which are the outside spots. So you actually need to have a connection to the space you're trying to build in if you need to use this coal, or you need to be connected to someone else's coal. With the iron ore, you don't need one of these connections to use that. You'll always take the iron ore off the table first, off the board first, and then go over to the excess iron ores. And that's the same with the beer, so you need to be connected to the beer barrels as well. Okay, I'll leave that there. Look, go ahead and watch my playthrough if you want to see how this game actually plays in reality. If you have any comments or suggestions, please write them below. If you have any games that you wish to be gamesplayed, please shoot me an email at thegamesplainer@gmail.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at thegamesplainer to keep up to date with the games that I'm playing. Subscribe to my videos to keep up to date with the games that I'm gamesplaining. And until next time, enjoy gaming.